Lysol right now. Don't you dare. Are we ready? All right, folks, I apologize. We started a couple minutes late. Time is 6:32. We'll call this meeting to order. Mr. Tucker, would you like to lead us in the invocation?
Can we bow our heads? Dear Lord, we come to you in reverence and prayer. We pray that you help us with the issues that confront our city on a daily basis. Give us insights and wisdom to discern your will. And have us pray for those who protect us. In Christ's name, amen.
Ms. Lorna, would you like to lead us in the pledges? All right, guys. Rules of decorum are in effect. We say that in every meeting. It means please treat each other with respect. That's all we ask. We may have differing views, but we just need to treat each other with respect. That's all we're asking. I will tell you something that I have noticed because I do attend various meetings. I haven't been to a lot of other city councils meetings, but I've noticed at a lot of other official government meetings and things like that, not everybody says the Texas Pledge. So, I find that kind of odd because we are representing the United States and our state. But I have noticed that in different areas. Just that useless piece of trivia to throw out there every once in a while. All right, next thing up, citizens' comments. Miss Britta Joe, you don't have your nice hats on tonight. Make sure, yeah, I was going to say turn it on. There should be a button on there. Jim, you want to help her? Unless it died. There we go.
Thank you. There we go. All right, Britta Joe, 256 Stevens Road, Rockwall, Texas, 75032. First, I just want to acknowledge how proud I am of the recent actions taken by Mayor Short signing the resolution to oppose MUDs and council members Trudy Woessner, Bryan McNeal, and Lorna Kipphut in the last two city council meetings who spoke out, asked questions, and did not back down to weak and misleading answers from the developers and the city manager. A city manager who admitted in the last meeting that he has not kept the city council in the loop or facilitated feedback from them to the developers. Make no mistake that this is deeply troubling to me, considering what a huge deal these developments are. Now to the elephant in the room. Nothing is free. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Everybody is hearing pipeline and thinking water, but you have to look at who's paying for this pipeline. Be very suspicious of developers who keep saying at no cost to you, because there is a very real cost. And that cost is that this pipeline, coming from the city of Terrell and paid for by the developers Huffines and Telus, is not a viable water solution if the water that's being brought in actually just goes to the 20,000 plus more people the developers bring with it. Let me break down that math for you. Combined, these developments, Trilogy and Tapestry, bring approximately 5,000 homes. With a conservative average of 4 people per home, you're looking at 20,000 plus more people. For perspective, Terrell's current population is 18,567 people. So basically, these two developments combined will bring the entire population of Terrell into our area over the next 5 to 10 years. Wait. So you're telling me Terrell magically has enough water to support a whole other city of its size and is willing to sell that water up the road to us Even when the North Texas Water District has been telling its member cities that supply is limited and Terrell gets all their water from them? Guys, this just doesn't make sense. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and they actually do. But if so, you as the city council and we as citizens deserve to see those numbers. Because right now, this sounds like a developer trying to sell us a silver bullet that actually looks like smoke and mirrors to get water for their own developments and long-term leave us in an even greater water crisis in the future with 20,000 more people to service. They're not just bringing in a pipeline to help y'all. They know they need your cooperation. Because without this pipeline, guess what? They can't bring all these people. It's so simple. If you play hardball and tell them, no, we are not going to agree to a pipeline that's built by developers who want us to sign away our rights to fight MUDs and then ignore our lot size requirements and don't limit the number of homes coming into our town, guess what? They will have to scale back. They will have to come back to the table and create development agreements that actually respect the city's comprehensive plan. You keep thinking all the power is with the developers because of the ETJ land, but I believe that's because you've been misled by your city attorney. Because who really wants this pipeline? Terrell. Go watch the city council meeting where they talk about this, and you'll see they want to be the service provider to all the developments they predict will come in to build around this pipeline. Who else really wants the pipeline? Huffines and Huffines and Telus. That's why they entered into an understanding with Terrell a year ago to orchestrate this, because they know without this pipeline, they can't pack 20,000 people into our area. If we are not careful, McLendon-Chisholm will just become a pawn in their scheme. They know we want water, and they are pretending like this is a solution when the numbers just don't add up. We are on the precipice of something so much bigger and more disastrous than we even realize. Yes, I agree we need water, but not like this. This pipeline will change everything about our area in the next 10 years, and I urge you to just have more questions answered before agreeing to it. I am attaching those questions with this packet that I'm submitting to the City Council. In this packet, you will find important documents that I have researched on the pipeline that I believe are crucial for you to see and understand before you make any decisions on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Adrian?
Adrian Balcom, 1518 Forensic Court. Item 6.1, my concerns are that there needs to be an understanding of how the process works. We need to go through Rockwall because they will be able to approve our actions and what actions that we're going to take to resolve our blister of a problem that's happening in our own backyard. And at this time, I'm requesting for 6.1 item on tonight's agenda, which is related to the Terrell Water ETJ Interlocal Agreement to be removed or just shouldn't be having any type of action tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Do you have any more? All right. Time is 6:40. Citizens' comments will be closed for the evening. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda, which is 5.1 and 5.2. Is there any reason there? If we are, please let me know.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I was not present for the meeting at 5.1, so I asked that it be extracted.
Okay. All right.
I do request to be removed from 5.2 because I was not here.
Okay. Pardon me?
I have a motion to remove it from the consent agenda.
Okay. I just need a motion to remove it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to remove item 5.1 from the consent agenda.
Okay. I've got a motion. Do I have a second? All right. I've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on 5.1? If not, we will, all in favor to remove that one from the consent agenda? Say aye. Aye. Okay. That one we'll remove. Okay. And then I think Floyd wants to make a motion to remove 5.2 as well.
Yes.
Can we do that before we discuss the first one? Okay.
Okay,
Give us just
Mr.
a
Mayor,
minute. Yes, sir.
I make a motion to remove 5.2.
We're going to do that in just a minute. We have to go through 5.1 first. All right, so then I will, we'll go to 5.1, which is the meeting minutes on February 22nd. Ms. Lorna, you're wanting to be removed because you weren't on
I
it?
wasn't here.
Is it listed with you on there?
No,
Okay.
I just need to abstain from the vote.
Okay. All right, then I will look for a motion to approve the minutes for February 22nd City Council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the February 22nd meeting.
Okay. I've got a motion. Do I have a second? All right. Any discussion on that one? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then Ms. Lorna is abstaining because she wasn't present for that meeting. All right. For 5.2, you can make your motion on that one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I request to remove myself from 5.2.
All right, so we have a motion to remove 5.2 from the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll go into 5.2. It's merely that Floyd was not here for that one, so I'll entertain a motion to approve that amended city council meeting for January 26th.
I'll make a motion to accept the January 26th, 2022 amended city council meeting.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion?
I will be abstaining as well.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then you two are abstaining, so. Mr. McNeal and Mr. McLendon have abstained. Everybody else is in favor. All right, moving on to item 6.1, the Terrell Water/ETJ interlocal agreement. Conrad?
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Ms. Terrell, McLendon-Chisholm, I handed out a handout of some of the things pulled from the contract, so you could see it better. The contract is very, I think it's 4 pages, and hopefully you've all had a chance to review it. It basically goes through. I handed out this sheet that just pulls some items from the contract, so it's easier read. But it has the whereas sections. It has the responsibilities of Terrell, the responsibilities of McLendon-Chisholm, and that's the end of the interlocal agreement. It also has one exhibit, which is the map of the main part of what it's land and water, basically, this agreement, and participating in it. We can go through all the entire agreement step by step, but I thought unless you have questions on it, I'd go through the listings, the benefits for the 2 cities as it goes through. McLendon-Chisholm receives potable water from Terrell. They pay a wholesale rate for the water and resells it at a retail rate. Requires the ability to serve water to the RCH, which we're working on making that a city of McLendon-Chisholm. Receives its own CCN, gaining additional ability to manage future growth. Benefits from engineering and surveying paid by Terrell. Is not paying a prorate of capital costs for new water line from Terrell. Our MC cost is 0. Terrell's managing utility project design financing. The overall project to bring the water from the North Texas line all the way through is $44,727,000, of which McLendon-Chisholm's portion of that is 0, and receives approximately 345 acres of ETJ along SH205. Terrell expands its ETJ. It's requesting expanded ETJ into the city, or taking from the city of McLendon-Chisholm's ETJ, current ETJ, of 636 acres. They will sell, as mentioned earlier, the additional wholesale water, gains ability to manage future growth, and McLendon-Chisholm helps with easement acquisition. Those are the main points in the agreement, or the benefit points. It doesn't, this is an agreement between Terrell and the city of McLendon-Chisholm, albeit, as we all know, it will benefit, and why the costs are zero for us is because there is a developer, developers that are participating in this process, which really is something that probably every development, especially of newer cities, new growth cities, that doesn't have adequate infrastructure would request of developers to participate. And that's every city, anywhere you want to go. So it's not something unique. It's not something new. It's a common business practice. So with this agreement, I should say that the city of Terrell had it scheduled for tonight on their city council meeting. They jumped the gun and approved it on March 7th, last week. So I guess they're on the first and third Tuesday, and we're on a second and fourth schedule. But that's what happened there. Showing the map, and I apologize. I know you like bigger maps, but I can stand up there if that's all right, Mayor, and show you some of the particulars of the map. And I would say that I would have put it, and you have a copy of this, which this is not very much different on the board, but it's so small that you may not see something.
Yes. of those light color shaded areas that say Terrell, is any of that currently in our ETJ? Right. Right. Is any of that rectangular piece? Okay, so it took a portion of that. Mhm. Of the shaded areas, Conrad, the shaded areas that, the tan colored ones that say Terrell, what's the, and I don't expect an exact figure, but what's the number of land that they're looking acreage wise? Yeah, because I can't see it from here.
What does that mean? We had that, but what do you mean?
So is there a net then of 300 acres that we're looking at, difference?
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of our ETJ they're asking us to give up.
637.
Right.
And how
Okay.
much of their ETJ are we getting?
Yeah.
But that's
It
not
wasn't
in this
their
document.
ETJ to start with.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, but that wasn't their,
The 205 part.
Yeah, they're not.
Gotcha.
give us just a second, Conrad, on that. I've got a question from Michael real quick. On this particular item, can we go into executive session to discuss this a little further? I don't have the official, is it at the bottom? Okay. All right. What I would like, Conrad, it'll take us a minute to get in there, but if you, Jim, could you help him? Could you turn around and explain the same thing for our audience so they can see what we were looking at? That way they understand what we're fixing to go talk about. It may be a little hard, guys. It's hard for the fine print on there, but you can kind of see the shaded in areas. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. That's why we'll talk about it in there. Yes. Where's it at on here, Michael? Because I can't find it. Huh? All right, let me see that real quick so I can read it. All right, while they're talking about that, Michael, can I go ahead and call for an executive session? Let them fix that. All right, yes. The time is 7 o'clock. Item 6.1, we are going to go into executive session authorized under section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code to be convened in closed executive session in order to seek confidential legal advice from the city attorney on this agenda item. All right, we are now in executive session. Let's go to the back room, please. Yes, ma'am, you sure can. All right, we will be back in just a minute, guys.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to not approve the Terrell Water ETJ interlocal agreement as written.
I will second.
I'm just personally not into, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment. I'm just personally not into giving up 600 acres of our ETJ.
I just have this concerns of, one, definitely not giving up land, but two, I mean, you're bringing water into future. I'm concerned with what we have now. And none of that is gonna fix now, in what we have in our residency within our city right now. So that's why I'm just a no on it.
I concur with Councilwoman Kipphut, along with not potentially, but actually neglecting the city of McLendon-Chisholm and its constituents, and also backing up another city at our border. So,
Yeah, I think several years ago, we gave away 4,000 acres to another city, and they eventually returned the bulk of that back to county because they didn't want to have to deal with the difficulties of trying to manage it. And they, as the mayor said, they took a choice part of it and developed that out and annexed it and, to their benefit. But now we've lost control of that at this point. I have some questions about whether Terrell has availability of the volume of water to supply these two projects. If they do, that's fine, but as owners of the CCN, we're going to be able to supposedly be able to utilize some of that water ourselves and maybe control a little bit more of what's going down in our ETJs, but we have no assurances of that. We have no assurances of volume deliveries. There's a lot of questions about this contract that we have, and the giving away of 636 acres. We should learn from a previous gift that we gave to Rockwell that we won't be able to get it back if it does occur. So I'm not in favor of this contract at this point.
And although I don't have a decision on the vote unless it were a tie, I'm in agreement with them that I'm not willing to give our land away anymore, even though it's in our ETJ. I'm not willing to give the future of McLendon-Chisholm, whether it's built out 6 years from now or 60 years from now. I'm not willing to give away the future of our city. So, like I said, unless it's a tie up here, I don't have a vote in this matter. It's up to my council here, and I think you've heard from them tonight on how they feel and how they want to take care of you, our citizens, and us being residents as well, our own future. So, all right, if there's not any further discussion, all in favor of the motion? Aye?
Aye.
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 Show that unanimous. All right, moving on to 6.2, building inspection process.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. We had this before you at the last city council meeting. Just a little background real quick before we get into what you requested. Of 2022, the council reviewed a contract, a building inspection contract, to end that contract, and we were needing building inspection services immediately. The contract allowed for 30 days, and we anticipated having 30 days to get on it. The former company decided immediately they were done. We found Texas Compliance Solutions with some help, and we were down 1 day, and they were here in the city. Did we have our ups and downs a little bit at the start? We did, a little bit, because contractors had a new boss, new people coming in looking at their code, even though they're the minimum standards of code that they were looking at. But there is differences on how different inspectors look at things, even though it is code. Everything is in black and white all the time. We went through them. We smoothed out that curve. High kudos to Texas Compliance Solutions, who's our current. And even though they come 2 days a week, that remains somewhat of a difficulty to some builders. They are here and they go overboard on trying to help out whenever they're here, texting all the contractors, letting them know they're here if you need an inspection. And so they've done very good in both internally as well as externally in the last months. They've done an excellent job for us. However, when they came in, it was an emergency hire, and we told them, as well as other building inspection companies in the area, that we would have the council relook at this at the first part of next year. We missed January, but we hit February, and now and you wanted additional information, which is common. So I have that information, and there are 3 things that you can do, or 4 things basically that I've identified. You can figure out another scenario if you want. I try to culminate them all in the 4th one. But one is just to stay status quo and keep going how we are. We have budgeted this fiscal year $109 for building inspection services. All that space, they charge piecemeal on every inspection. Oh, and another thing is they don't currently have a Texas plumbing certification. So we use Burgess, which is another building inspection service, who also would be interested in taking over the entire project. There's like 4 or 5 that I've talked to. So we could stay status quo with how we are. Like I say, they've been doing a great job. I have no complaints about those guys right now. Or we could go out to bid. You could say, look, we'll go out to bid and we'll continue with Texas Compliance Services, and as long as it takes to get a bid, we'll look at all the bids from everybody and make a decision that way. Like I said, I think you'd get at least 3 or 4 bids if you decided to go that way, that route. Or you could bring, the 3rd suggestion is bringing the building inspection process in-house. That would entail hiring a chief building official, because you need somebody that's certified in all the different certifications. And so somebody that's fully certified, that has had experience in the business. And then the 4th one, and then you'd have to, at least in the initial first year, you'd have to buy a vehicle for them. That's mainly their office. But they also need an office to do plan review. It could be the conference room. I mean, if we're running out of places, we could find a place to do it, but they need some place to do plan reviews and stuff. So those are the 2 things, building inspection and plan review. And we have at times a lot of review that has to go on. So, and in 2022, you'll see it on the spreadsheet that we're going to look at in a second. Our actual cost was $223,000 for the cost of an inspection service. But it's all, again, based on the number of inspections that go through that they do. So the 4th one would be basically a hybrid. I mean, you could do hybrids. You could play around different ways. You could use some for some, or a contract for some, and in-house. I mean, you can do hybrids of different things. So those are the 4 that I've identified. But what you asked me last time was to do an analysis on the cost if we brought it in-house to the outside. So I went to our Pick 6 people, and you have this spreadsheet on your desk. You have one too somewhere. It's underneath here. And I tried to go to our Pick 6 cities. And a lot of times you look at the Pick 6 because that's where we're fielding our businesses from, and that's where we're fielding our if we hired people from, and things like that. So the cities, our Pick 6 cities, even though there's 7 there, 3 of them responded. The other ones, I've looked at some of the other ones in the past. They're fairly close, but I don't have those specific numbers, so I didn't put them in. But if you look at, for a chief building official, the minimum would be $40.13 an hour. Annual would be 83,000. That's times 2080. And then the benefits, our percentage would equal 25,000, and so a total of 112,437 is the minimum bid. And if you go on a salary scale, the maximum is there to the right as they work through the scale. But they have to grow in the position, and you can see that. And it's basically on the average on the bottom, red, if you look at the bottom red. I mentioned before the actual cost for 2022 was $223,000, and we have budgeted $195,000. And I'd also did the contractual costs are variable based on number of inspections and plan reviews. However, the variable cost, or it's a fixed cost for somebody in-house, but it would be another body in-house to do a lot of things, go patch holes. I mean, we've had our fire chief and fire guys out patching holes in the street, doing cold patch. Just another body. So there's benefits if there isn't, if we don't meet all the, not just the dollar amount, but also they can do things if the number of inspections go down. The total, and then if on the backside, you'll see a building, or the second sheet, you'll see just a building inspector. As we grow, if we had major developments that had a tremendous amount of building inspections, that's how much, I couldn't anticipate more than 2 in your building inspection and plan review household of how we're going. So that would sort of give you an idea of how much it would cost for a minimum and maximum, same type of thing, to hire a second. I'm not advocating a second at all right now, but I'm just saying that just so you have that information, if we ever went that way, you could see that. You could also see below that on page 2, the in-house costs that were very much estimated or guesstimated. Year 1 would be with all the salary and benefits and everything, 184. Year 2, you don't have a vehicle anymore, so it drops to 153. And then with, as you see on the right, a 3% increase annually, then it would go to 158. So for the first 3 years, and you can see that that's substantially lower than the 200+ thousand. I mean, it's something, but there's pros and cons both ways. I mean, definitely are pros and cons both ways. If you go back to page 1 at the bottom, you see the 2024, 25, and 26 contract versus in-house, and then the differential, if you're interested in that. Again, this is at a CPI increase of 6.5%. CPI has been a bit higher than that in the last little while, but that's still a pretty hefty CPI for normal, but hopefully it'll go down to that or lots lower. So you can see in those 3 common years and the differential where year 1 may not be dramatic, but year 2 increases the differential savings between the two, and the percentage of the overall contract price is the last column. So the in-house would be, because you have to buy a vehicle and get everything going and all those things, it would be about 89%, dropping to 70 and then 67%. So I believe this is what the council wanted to see, to analyze the specific dollars there. And again, let me stress, there are intangibles. You can get, and it's, I mean, there'll be bumps, whatever. I mean, there won't be bumps probably if you stay status quo, because they've already gone through their bumps. But if you decide to go out to bid or you decide to go to in-house or stay, I think staff-wise, you probably make a good decision, but based on your opinions and stuff. So I don't think we'll get hurt anyway, whichever your decision is. However, I did want you to know that we have been very pleased with who we have now, as well as Burgess jumping in to help us out, and others have offered. So I think in this area, I mean, there's some good people around, good companies, good people.
I don't have a question, maybe just a comment, is that I don't have any reticence about putting this out to bid to see if we can beat these numbers. You know, test the numbers, basically, is what I'm looking for. I mean, we're not going to be hurt by that. The current operator seems to be doing okay. He's working a couple days a week, and he seems to be almost fulfilling all of his needed obligations. But now you want to bring on somebody 40 hours a week that is going to have some open time. So my sense would be, and I can see the numbers that you're saving money maybe by bringing somebody in. I'm not quite convinced of it. I'm just saying maybe we should think about putting bids out and test the numbers that we have here.
I think I'm under the understanding that this is a pass-through cost, that we get this, we pay for this individual, the service through our permit
Yeah.
fees, correct?
Correct.
So it's not coming out of our ad valorem taxes or sales taxes out of our general budget. It's a
Correct.
pass-through.
Yeah, the intention of the building department is to fully fund itself.
Yeah. And did you look at just having a part-time on staff?
I did not look at it part-time. I mean, you do need a chief building official, somebody certified in all the different trades, including IBC certified as well as the plumbing Texas state certified. Whether there's a bunch of those guys out there or one man or woman, maybe. I mean, with plan review and they're here physically doing inspections on twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and they're here dinger to dinger. I mean, sometimes till later. But the other days they're doing plan reviews too. So I'm not sure they're not here doing it. So I can't tell you how
But
many
they
hours.
only work for us 2 days a week.
No, they do plan review as well.
Okay.
So they'll do that on their other days or whenever they want, I guess.
So have we had formal complaints about the fact that we only have the TCS going out 2 days a week?
We've had that in the initial stages, the bumps. I haven't heard any real complaints because they've actively tried to solve that issue. They will contact all the people they're working with. They know all the houses that are getting inspections, and they'll text every single contractor and say, look, we're in town. Use us. We have time here. We have time here. We're here. Use us. And then if their schedule changes for some other reason, they're in active contact. Their communication is excellent with the current builders. That being said, there have been some builders that say, you know, I failed an inspection and I need to change tomorrow, get another inspection tomorrow because we have somebody moving in on the next day. And we've worked through that, saying that they can get an emergency inspection from somewhere else. However, all the information has to come back to us, and they have to pay separately for somebody else to come in. And they've taken, I mean, we've been doing that for 2 to 3 months, and I'd say a handful, less than 10, have probably done that, mainly with one builder.
So, fellow council members, one thing that I'm reluctant to do is to hire additional person mid-budget like this. I would think it would be a great great item for you to put on the wish list or whatever when you go to do the budget for next year. But I'm seeing that it's the status quo, the mission is getting accomplished, and I would hate to saddle y'all with a bill of an additional person without going through the actual budget cycle to look at the trade-offs for what you need to do to hire that additional person. Right.
And I'm finding a hard time with, because we're not getting as many permits and homes are being built, you know, not as many of them right now. I don't think right now is a good time for it, but I get what you're trying to do is when, you know, the housing market does pick up, I think hiring somebody in-house is a good idea, but right now is not the time.
Floyd, you got any questions?
I was just going to say that, one, I appreciate you finding out this information from the other cities, but I'm assuming we didn't get any information back from who we're currently using on what they would go into the next cost would be. And I guess going out to bid, have we reached out to some other companies to get bids yet, or are we still waiting? Because I thought when we had the last discussion on this, that's what we were gonna get tonight, like everything, not just from the cities. I thought we were gonna get some of those bids, so we
I
would.
think we asked them for bids. I think we had them bring the numbers back.
Okay, well, I guess I was understanding that we were gonna get some bids or something, just so we could compare.
I think that's what his
Is that what the
city
next
picks
hoping would
were,
be?
is without going
Okay.
out to bid, he got information from other cities on what their costs were. Any other discussion?
So it's not really one of those things where we make a motion.
No.
It's just to feel out what we want to do.
And are you guys in agreement that we can give him direction to throw it out there to see what's out there?
Yes,
Big one?
yes, I'd like to see bids coming in 3 or 4.
Can we make that happen? All right, we'll move on to 6.4, update on the RCH, McLendon-Chisholm water transfer 2023. Done? Huh? What did I say?
We miss Sarah.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6.3. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Community Events Committee Report, March 2023.
Yes,
I
yes,
apologize.
that's okay. I'm Sarah Naylor, and I am your Community Events Coordinator. And I'm supposed to talk with you about the upcoming community events, just make sure y'all know about them. We have 2 real soon. One is on Saturday. We have a pickleball tournament at Oasis. It's called the Battle of the Badges, and it is going to be for any first responder, of course, to play in it, and then it's also open to the public to play as well. So we actually have quite a few teams coming around from Wiley, Levon, Dallas. We're really looking forward to it. It's not as big as I would like it to be, I'll be honest with you. This is our first time to do it. I have always huge dreams and big plans, so next year we'll be, knock it out of the park. So this, of course, is the first one. Oasis is sweet enough that they are donating the courts for us, and the tournament director is donating her time as well. So it's gone smooth, well. We're going to have Wells Food Truck will be out there, which is nice because, of course, everybody loves Wells Burgers. We'll also have the Mechanical Bull, which if you've been to any of my events, that's always a crowd pleaser. And face painting is going to happen, so if anybody wants to come that doesn't play pickleball, we'll have something fun to do. So like I said, that's Saturday. Starts at 10 a.m. Supposedly goes all day long. It will not go all day long just because we don't have enough numbers to get that much participation with the hours needed. So it should last probably till 2 o'clock or something like that. So that's coming up Saturday. And then April 1st, we have our 2nd annual egg drop, which we are very excited about. Last year, of course, being the first one, we did not know what to expect. Had great turnout. In fact, overwhelming turnout. And so we're trying to anticipate that. So what we've added to hopefully combat the lack of eggs that were the complaint for last year is to let vendors come out, and their entry fee is to just bring 200 filled eggs with whatever they fill them with, whether it's their logo or a candy or whatever. So they're bringing that to us the week before. We've already got an extra 2,000 plus eggs coming, which is huge. Of course, we're also doing what we already did last year to hopefully anticipate the numbers of people that are coming. So that is from 9 to 12 on April 1st. And we have a helicopter that comes and dumps the eggs out for us. Of course, we have our fire helping to make sure that everyone is safe. And so we did it last year. He was a lot of fun to watch. He did a little bit of trickery while he's up in the air. Kids loved it. And then, of course, we'll have some events to going on, for the morning, because that lasts all of 30 minutes probably as kids scramble, even if we try to divvy the ages up. But we'll have, like I said, vendors out there. We'll also have several different events for kids to do and things for people to hopefully come and shop and spend some time. Not a lot of shopping, but some of the vendors are selling some items. So it should be fun. We have the Easter Bunny will be there, and so pictures will be happening for that as well. So those are our 2 events coming up real soon. Questions?
No, I was going to ask about the helicopter, but they're going to be here. Folks, if you weren't here last year for the Easter egg drop, the guy that owns the helicopter service, he's a heck of a nice guy. It was really fun to watch him bring that helicopter up and do a few things. The kids are absolutely fascinated, even a lot of the adults, fascinated in watching what he was doing. It's really just to come watch is enjoyable as much as being able to participate. But I will tell you, a safety factor. When all those kids get ready to get all those eggs, as an adult, you better get out the way. You're going to get run over.
We're trying to combat that as well. We had
Because the kids just know eggs.
many last year, so many kids that we, of course, didn't know. And so we tried to break it into age categories.
Yes.
They did not listen to a thing that we said. So this year we're trying to put up, well, we definitely will be putting up barriers, basically, with the ages in each corral, let's call it. And so if the parents are not paying attention, it's on them. I mean, so if their 10-year-old is over there with the 3-year-olds, sorry. You should definitely be paying attention to your children. So there will be well marked. So anyway, it was very fun. We had lots and lots of compliments, but the one thing was we didn't have enough. But how do you know how many people are going to come to your very first egg drop? So
But
we're
you know what?
hoping for more.
We can gauge from the first one and make it even better than it was. You know, you never know. And it, you know, hats off to Sarah. She did a fabulous job last year, not knowing how many people were going to show up, and then we were overwhelmed. It's just like being a business owner. You know, when you have too much business, that's a good thing. You know, and with community events, that's the one thing this council is really tried hard for, is to bring back that stuff. You know, when I ran the very first time, it was, what about the old chili cook-offs and the things that they did up here? People love coming to that stuff, and Sarah's done a bang-up job. You know, I even got dunked more times than I cared to be when she had one of her events, and I got
Which
in
we're
the
doing
water
again,
tank, but it was
September
fun.
30th. Be ready. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Got some unique pictures of me underwater, but you know, it was a lot of fun, and people were happy and enjoying themselves, and that's the key. Yes.
Right. For these two events, I think we're good, but trust me, in the future, I'm always thinking, what else can I do to keep the people entertained? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't been to one of our events, please come. They're a lot of fun. Unfortunately, this Saturday, I won't be here for the pickleball competition.
Well, I plan on winning, so I'll just let you
Well,
know that.
I have a prior commitment, guys. I was in the Marines many years ago, and the first unit I was in, we were having a reunion Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we were all 17, 18 unit. We haven't seen each other in 40 years, and we're going to see each other next weekend. Now, one of the guys that put it all together, whatever he was thinking, we're going to be at Jellystone Park over in Pearls. Now, a bunch of 60-year-old Marines at a amusement park type venue that you can stay at, and we all have golf carts. I'm like, there's going to be trouble here. Yes. But, you know, I will. Yeah, and the thing is, we've been emailing back and forth. One of the guys he's already said, be careful of Mike because he's a crier when he sees us. Because, like I said, we haven't seen each other in 40 years, and two of the guys met in Phoenix a couple of months ago, and he bawled his eyes out when he saw him. So I'll see him Thursday night, and hopefully, you know, Dallas Finest won't take him off to Parkland thinking he's a loony bin because he's crying his eyes out. But I'll be doing that this weekend, so I won't be here for the pickleball. But I wish everybody the best of luck, and I've already let Chief Simmons know that if our teams that support our city in this competition lose, I might be able to convince council into financing some unique caps that they may need to wear for not winning.
Okay. We all started in January, pickleball.
okay.
So please be okay with the fact that we might have a good showing, but may not come home with a trophy.
If they do some unique things
You're
while
welcome.
they're losing, then I'll accept it.
Anyway, We're going to try.
But thank you so much for putting that together, and all the things you've done in the past, and I know all the things you're going to do for us in the future. Folks, if you don't know Sarah, she is all about community, and she works hard to do a lot of things behind the scenes within McLendon-Chisholm. So, my hat's off to you, and thank you for taking on this endeavor for us. All right, now, since I screwed up, okay. Now 6.4, update on RCH McLendon-Chisholm Water Transfer 2023. Conrad?
Mayor and members of the council, I believe last city council meeting there were this request, but we didn't have the questions submitted. I got the questions submitted at the end of last week or the middle of last week. So some of these things I don't have answers, but let me go through them and tell you because of the nature of what's going on there, as you know. Number one, receipt of a signed MOU or other from the RCH board on their intent to transfer all assets to the city of McLendon-Chisholm. They have said repeatedly that they will do this after the election of their members, as well as they have noted that they're following their attorney's advice and going through steps as their attorney gives them advice. So, but they have said after their election of their members, that would be the next step. Number two, when is the member election scheduled and when will the RCH board canvass the election? One of their board members said that they have an independent outside firm that is taking care of the entire process, meaning it's not coming directly from RCH other than paying for the firm, I guess. And they will be sending out the ballots on their own and collecting them on their own. So nothing goes to RCH, it just goes to this outside firm. And then as soon as they're done and have them counted, they'll bring them to the board and have it canvassed.
The public needs to know that if you're an RCH customer, that ballot has gone out. So the public needs to look for that ballot.
I am not positive that ballot said an independent firm.
The ballot's out. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking about the board election at all.
The board.
I'm talking about the water.
We're waiting to see if that second ballot does go out. There's supposed to be a ballot.
Well, that's what their board people told me. What is the status of the city of McLendon-Chisholm technical review of all water system assets? Is there an outside water engineering firm under contract? The answer to the second question is yes. It's TPN. We've had them under contract since the first part of December, and they're actively waiting for the go-ahead to jump in there, and the response to the technical review of all the water system assets is as soon as it's allowed by RCH. And they said once their election is done and they've done the MOU.
So that's the holdup, is basically RCH hasn't allowed them to come in. We've got
Correct.
people in ready to go and do what they need to do in terms of evaluation. But RCH is pushing back on that or just isn't allowing it.
Well, they're not necessarily pushing back. They're just saying we're following our attorney's direction and we're waiting for the vote from the members. So without the go-ahead by the members to move forward on this, they don't want to move forward on this.
So we therefore have no ability to determine the status of the water lines and all the equipment until after they voted to turn that over to us.
Correct. Correct.
You're okay. You're okay.
Number 4, our city of RCH water permits still being issued for continued growth. This is something that I in my notes I put I believe so, and that's kind of harsh to write I believe so. I understand that. However, a CCN requires them to provide water to everybody within the CCN.
They said at their board meeting they are still issuing permits.
Well, yeah, so I mean, state law requires them to issue that. All right, number 5, has RCH hired a professional water engineer to work with the Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT, in moving the RCH water lines in the way of the pending TxDOT SH 205 road widening project. That's unknown. I have not received an answer from them on that, whether they hired an outside person or not. Number 6, has the letters gone out to the city of Rockwall, Texas, State of Texas Public Utilities Commission, PUC, and the North Texas Municipal Water District, NTMWD, based on a variety of city of MC needs and wants. That was on the last city council agenda, and the request was to bring back a draft copy to you, which you have in front of you. So the answer is no, it hasn't. A preliminary email has gone out to all 3 of them. The PUC, which you didn't ask for the PUC letter, our water attorney is working on that and is right on top of that with the PUC. She's worked with the PUC and TCEQ and knows people by name, first name, their favorite food and things like that. So she's excellent there and has gone through this rodeo a bunch of times. So she's the PUC, and the other 2 you have letters there. However, I have sent tentative email letters to both the other 2 providers, the city of Rockwall, telling them that it's coming, that these are the things that we want you to be aware of, and that the council needs to review the letter and make comments, suggestions. So please do that and let me know. You can, any changes, any updates, any additionals. But we have worked both with the city manager of Rockwall and the executive director of NTMWD. Number 7, has the City Water Committee identified and communicated with our residents basic water conservation measures and the ongoing need for water preservation? I don't believe any of that has gone out. We haven't put it on our website or Facebook or our social media type stuff. It is something that we can do, not require any type of conservation, but educate on conservation, I think is a positive thing. Number 8, has the City of MC identified the overall RCH transfer of assets implementation process and procedures? As you know, the very first thing that the city did was to do that by our city attorney and our water attorney. That really got them nervous at the start. But yeah, and was it extremely detailed. Was it the specific one that we may use into the future? Maybe not, but they definitely know that we're looking at the transfer of assets and have received a physical copy of that. And number 9, has the City of MC reviewed and understands the internal process of RCH, including billing management, financial review and management, debt service management, rate structures, service to out-of-city residents, as well as the overall infrastructure status, water quality, quantity, reliability, redundancy requirements. We have talked to outside firms, including Inframark, who does that. They have over 6,000 employees. To come in as soon as we're available to come in, just the same thing as the technical evaluation of all the lines and the systems and the systems that they have there. They would come in and do more of these administrative analysis and fiscal analysis. So everything's ready and set, waiting on, as we know, just getting that approval by the members. So it would behoove all of our members, all of our city residents that are members, which I think is everyone, to vote and let what they think is the best thing for the city be known in their vote, and we can move forward with this if it's a positive vote for the city.
All right, on the update here, I'd like to give you some direction on this. Conrad, for you to get with Michael and Michael with Emily, our water attorney, and see what you can do to get them to communicate or speed up some of this stuff. Because we have some potential, and let me stress the word potential, for some safety issues if they're not complying with what TxDOT's requiring on where line locations are with the expansion of 205. And if something happens, we don't need a contaminated water supply. if they hit lines that they were not aware of because they weren't provided the information. So between you and Michael and our water attorney, do what you need to do to get them to start cooperating, not only on that piece of it, but with us on things that
Overall
we need to
process.
do to be able to say, yes, this is a good move for us, because I'm seeing things where, you know, they are canceling doing stuff that they laid blame in one of their board meetings that the whole reason the elevated water tower that was supposed to go in on Edwards Road was our fault, that it hadn't been started when they hadn't submitted the paperwork to us correctly or had not submitted it at all. And now they're canceling even doing that.
Put your mic on, please.
Be sure, it would be nice to see them do things, you know, like
Right.
not ignore TxDOT and not hold them off completely. So that
Right.
would be helpful.
But we need to
So,
do something
yeah.
to find a way from y'all's standpoint to get them to understand the urgency here, what that is. You're the legal mind and so is our water attorney, but we need to do something to get them to wake up a little bit.
And that
They-
may be honestly something we may need to bring back to council too, because there are different options. Some of them would be considered, a little more aggressive than others. And so there may be a different opinion, and so council may need to be made aware of that, and then ultimately y'all have to make a decision.
Correct, because we don't want to be saddled with a, you know, a bad issue, for lack of a better explanation, because we're not allowed to see what the inner workings or the paperwork or pipelines, towers, whatever. We don't want to be saddled with a ton of problems we didn't know. We're not going to be like this old, you know, health plan was. You got to approve it before you can see what's in the paperwork. We're not going to play that game here. We're all good citizens, and we're all smart individuals that live in this city. We need to be able to take a look at that before we make the determination if it's a good move. We believe it's a good move, but we got to be able to see the stuff that's
We
there.
have to do our due diligence. And they have said publicly that it's the attorneys that are holding up this process. So I spoke to one of the members offline, and he said, well, that's not necessarily true. It's,
We've been talking to Emily about this. In fact, Conrad honestly, he's in regular contact with Emily. So I know it's not on her end. She mentioned she does know their attorney, has worked with a number of times, and alacrity is not a gift that he possesses with his work. So that would make sense that somebody said, quote unquote, off the record, that, hey, you know, it's not really the attorney.
Well, in this case, I'm not going to use the word aggressive, but maybe we need to step up the way we address things with them to get them to do what needs to be done so that we can do our homework.
Yes, sir.
All right, if there's nothing else on 6.4, we will move on to 6.5. Discussion and action for the city administrator to work with the city water committee on water-related frequently asked questions for RCH, Water Supply Company ballot, and any other related items for the city website. Before I go around to everybody up here on council, yes, you need to work with them, and if there's information we need to provide on the city website to further educate the community on this whole situation, as long as it doesn't violate anything from a legal standpoint, then I think it needs to be on there. Ms. Trudy, you have anything on this one? Yeah, make sure you turn your mic on.
The only thing that I would suggest right now is just immediately start the stage 1, just because of, stage 1 of save water type thing. Just so that we start saving the water that as much as we can, and just getting people accustomed to only watering their yards once or twice a week at least, just getting them to do that. And then the watermyyard.org is,
There are links that you can put on there.
yeah, just stuff like that. Just get it out there, put it on our website, put it on whatever we can, just so people can get accustomed to that. Okay. Oh, it's like, is she okay? Just so people can get accustomed to it before summer.
All right. Bryan,
Trudy,
you have anything?
Trudy, that was something that we talked about at the meeting, and RCH said that they were going to work at putting that on their website and sending it out on that alert system that they set up.
Right. But we, as a city, just needs to step up and just start taking and doing our part. I mean, RCH has said a lot of things, and we just got to do our part.
Yeah.
Bryan?
I just want to say I concur with you getting our legal minds and city administrator on them. I mean, you know, if it's whatever's not working, turn up the heat. I mean, at some point, someone's got to be held accountable. I mean, this is just drug on way too long.
Dan?
You know, there's a lot of negotiation going back and forth, but this is really a personal kind of transaction in my mind, because I've spoken to the some of the people that are in charge. So Jack Pullen and Hatfield are the ones that will push this thing through. So you just have to let them know that, you know, we're ready to go on this, and whatever their reticence is, I can't testify to, but they're the ones that have personalized this to a degree, and I understand it's their baby. They've nurtured this thing for 40 years, so I think they're the ones that you really have to kind of turn the screws on a little bit. Unfortunately, it has to work like it has to go like that.
There's no other discussion on that, then you know what needs to be done. All right, moving on to item 7, updates, discussion, and direction to staff. Trudy, you got anything? Bryan? Floyd? Dan? Lorna?
Well, it was brought to Shelley's attention that the 25 April meeting is during early voting, and that's
Which meeting?
the 25 April meeting.
Okay.
So we have to determine if we're going to change that meeting date to accommodate the fact that we can't be in here for that early voting, or what our alternate options are.
Well, I did speak with Chris Lynch today to see if there's any way we could have our meeting and perhaps just cover their equipment or whatever it takes. And he said he would not recommend that at all. It could open up too many issues.
Correct.
We do have the option of meeting at the fire station.
Across the street?
Yes. My only issue with that is we can't record. And we all know what an issue that is. So my only suggestion would be to move our meeting up into the week before, instead of maybe we could even do it on Thursday, the 20th, you know, if you wanted to.
Well, let's, we've still got just a little bit of time before we need to make that decision.
Yeah, it's time
So
to,
let's, guys, look at your availability the week before and get with Shelley, and we'll see what we can do, because I do not want to raise any red flags if there's early voting equipment in here. I don't want anybody in this building. I don't want anything to taint anything that goes with any kind of election.
Okay.
So get with Shelley on your available dates, and we'll figure it out from there. That being said, there's an error in our calendar on the city website. It says we got a meeting next Tuesday on the 22nd for city council. Folks, that's not correct. It was last month. It's not this month. It should be the 28th. So just make sure that we get that adjusted. I can't think of anything else. Obviously, spring break is going. Just make sure you're paying attention to those young kids that are out there running around, whether they're on foot or in a vehicle, because they're out and about, and we don't want to have any problems there. If there's no other discussion there, we'll move down to, yeah, but there's other school districts out too. You know, some of the private schools and all that. I know Rockwall was out last week, but this week, there are other cities that have kids out, so there's kids out everywhere. 22nd. Does it say the 21st? You'll have to actually do me a favor, Joe. Address that with her if you don't mind. After the meeting, if you would. Okay. All right. I don't have anything to report. Trudy, do you have anything? Bryan, you don't have anything, do you? Okay. Lorna? Dan? You've got roads coming up, right?
Your meeting tomorrow for the first time, and Lorna's passed the conference, so I'm looking forward to participating in that.
Okay. Floyd, we haven't issued you anything to work on yet. All right. Well, guys, it is 8:40. Now that we've met everything on the agenda, meeting adjourned. Go home, enjoy your families.
So I was going to ask you about, on this here, if we could